If you have a story to share, email us at mindcodean@gmail.com. Be sure to like and subscribe our channel. It really helps us grow, and it's completely free. Now, let's get into the story. I'm not sure how to explain what happened. It wasn't the kind of thing where you see ghosts or furniture flying across the room. Nothing dramatic like that. It was slower, more personal. I've never really talked about it online before, but I feel like I need to get this off my chest. When I was a kid, probably about 10, my family moved into this house in a small town just outside of Ohio. It was old, but well kept. 2-story, white paint, old wood floors that creaked in places. It was one of those houses where everything echoed just a little too much. The house had been on the market for a while. I remember my parents saying it was a great deal, and they seemed excited. The only weird thing was that it came as is, like furniture still inside. Apparently the man who lived there before had passed away, and the bank was trying to sell it quickly. His stuff was mostly cleared out, except for one room upstairs, which we called the guest room. But none of us ever used it. It always felt off. The light was dim, the air was cooler, and every time I walked by, I felt like something was just waiting in there. My parents laughed it off. Old houses have their quirks, they said. I didn't give it too much thought at the time, until a couple years later, when I was about 12, my dad decided to replace some old vents in the house. While he was removing the vent cover in the hallway just outside the guest room, he found something wedged behind the metals in the vent slats. It was an envelope, yellowed, taped shut, no name on the outside. He opened it up anyway, expecting maybe old bills or junk, but what he pulled out was a folded piece of notebook paper. It was handwritten in kind of shaky block letters, and the first thing it said was, "If you live here now, I'm sorry." That got our attention. The note went on for about a page. It was written by the man who used to own this house, the one who died here. And it wasn't just some old weird man rambling. It was more like a warning. He said the house wasn't normal, that over time it attached itself to people, but only one person at a time. He wrote that his wife left him because of this house and how he had changed. He didn't go into much detail though, but he said he started feeling watched all the time, couldn't sleep, couldn't think straight. He said he started having dreams where he was still awake, but he couldn't move, like the house was inside him somehow, controlling his thoughts. At the end, he wrote, "I stayed too long. Don't make the same mistake I did." My mom threw it away immediately. She said it was just the ramblings of a lonely old man. But looking back, I really wish we'd taken it seriously, because things did start to change. Not all at once, but over time. My little sister started talking to herself at night, not like imaginary friends either. She said there was a man in the wall who told her stories. My parents told her to stop pretending, but she'd get upset and say, "He gets bad when I don't listen." My mom started sleepwalking. She'd wake up in the hallway outside the guest room almost every time. She couldn't remember how she got there either. My dad, I think he was affected the worst. He started forgetting things, like entire conversations we had the day before. Sometimes he'd get real quiet and just stare off, like he wasn't really there. But the worst part, it started happening to me too. It started small. I'd wake up with nosebleeds. The dreams, really vivid ones, where I wasn't me. I was walking through the house, but everything looked distorted. Furniture in the wrong place, lights flickering, and there was always something behind me, just out of view, watching. One night, I had this dream where I walked into the guest room and saw a man standing in the corner. I couldn't see his face, just a black shape with long arms. He raised one hand and pointed to the wall where we found the note. I swear I woke up and saw a shadow moving, and it moved back towards the vent. That was when I stopped sleeping properly. I started to get paranoid. My grades dropped. I'd lash out at my sister for no reason. I remember once yelling at her so loud she cried and locked herself into the bathroom, and I didn't even know why I was mad. I felt like I wasn't in control anymore, like my thoughts weren't always mine. We lived in that house for about 7 years. Things were never normal. Again, after we found that note. Eventually, my parents decided to sell. My dad said it was for work reasons, but I think we all knew deep down the house was the real reason. We didn't tell the new buyers anything. That's what eats at me sometimes. I still remember what the note said. If you're reading this, it's your turn now. Once in a while, I go online and check on the house. It has changed owners twice since we left. Both families didn't stay long. Whatever that house is, it's still there, waiting for someone else to stay too long, maybe. I don't usually tell people this story, not because it's too scary, but because it just sounds, well, it just sounds out there. Not dramatic, not haunted, just weird. But it's real. Every part of it. About a year ago, my fiance and I bought a farmhouse in the country. It wasn't some dream home or custom build. It was more like an old place with a lot of charm and a lot of problems. We got a good deal on it because the previous owner had passed away, and the house sat empty for a couple of years. Nothing tragic, just an older man who, from what we heard, had lived alone and died peacefully. We figured, with some work, we could really make it ours. The first few months were normal, busy with renovations, fixing things up, painting, adjusting to the silence out there. It was peaceful, the kind of peaceful that city people fantasize about. But then, small things started to feel different, not quite right. One of the first strange moments was when I found a list. It was shoved all the way in the back of a kitchen island drawer, folded into a tiny square like it wasn't meant to be found. One side was a normal grocery list: bread, paper towel, milk. But on the back, it said, "Check trapdoor, don't leave garage open, stay quiet after 11. No date, no name, no explanation. I showed it to my fiance, and we laughed it off, like maybe the old guy was a bit paranoid towards the end. But after that, I couldn't stop noticing things. A few weeks later, I was unpacking boxes upstairs while my fiance was at work, and I heard the front door open and close. Not slam, just open, then gently close, like someone walked in. I called out, thinking my fiance came home early. No answer. I walked downstairs. Nothing. Door locked. Dog was sleeping in the living room. House completely still. I tried to convince myself it was the wind, but there was none that day. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic, but the feeling that came with it, it sat in my chest for the rest of the afternoon, like something had been near me and then left before I could see it. Then came the smaller things, scattered out over weeks. Footsteps upstairs when we were both downstairs, the basement light flickering on, even though the only switch is by the back door, and we never touched it. The garage door being unlatched in the morning when we were both sure we locked it the night before. At one point, I was taking a bath. No music, just quiet. And I smelled cigarette smoke. Not fresh or present, like it was there, but stale, like it had clung to someone's jacket for years. And we don't smoke. Our windows were all closed. The smell lasted maybe a minute and then it was gone, like it had slipped in and out without trace. That's when I started waking up at almost the exact same time every night, just after 3 a.m. My body would jolt awake, and I'd just lay there, heart pounding, with no sound, no movement, just that feeling again, like I wasn't the only one in the house. One night, I finally got out of bed to get a drink. As I walked through the hallway, I noticed the attic access panel had shifted slightly. Not open, just pushed, like it had breathed and the seal broke maybe. It only opens with a lot of force from below. We hadn't touched it in months. I told my fiancée we needed to check. We dragged out the ladder and opened the attic. It was mostly empty, but there was an old metal folding chair in the corner. Next to it, a coffee cup and a rolled up blanket. Not dusty, not moldy, like someone had used them recently. I felt sick. Like cold behind my eyes, kind of sick. That's when the list came back into my head. Check trap door. The attic wasn't the only trap door in the house. There was a small panel in the back of the hallway closet, low to the ground. We had never opened it, thinking it was for pipes or electrical. When we finally pried it open, we found the crawl space that ran under the house. Inside was a pillow and a crumpled flannel sheet. And a pair of old boots, worn but not abandoned. There was no mold, no decay, just enough dust to know it wasn't cleaned, but not enough that it had been using it. We changed every lock on the house, installed cameras, motion lights. We started double locking every window. But we never found any sign of forced entry. Nothing ever tripped the cameras. There was never a moment we caught anyone. Which means, in my head, who had ever been inside had a key and a place to hide, and they were already there, long before we had ever moved in. We never figured out who it was, or how long they were there. We called the police, of course. Filed a report, but they didn't find anything. No fingerprints, no forced entry. Nothing worth investigating, apparently. We ended up moving out a few months later. We told people it was because of the commute, but really, it was because I couldn't sleep anymore. I couldn't relax in my own house. Every time the floor creaked, I felt it in my spine. Every time I heard the wind hit the side of the house, I thought someone was coming in. Sometimes I still wonder if we ever really moved in, or if it was just space we borrowed. Living in someone else's hiding spot, maybe, without knowing it. That house is still out there. Someone else lives in it now. I don't know if they found the trap door, or the attic chair, or if maybe whoever it was moved back in. I don't care to know. I don't want to know. I'm still trying to forget about it. Thanks for watching. If you have a story to share and would like a chance for it to be on our channel, email it to us at mindcodedean@gmail.com. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow. It's completely free.